So the Sydney Hobart Yacht Race is one of the great sporting events on the calendar. I've had the privilege of doing the race 6 times in the last 8 or 9 years, and filming and photographing the race for the Sydney Morning Herald. Both my parents were involved in the sport. My father won the race in 1977, so I have a strong connection to the race. And I guess the timing was right about 10 years ago, when the paper, or Fairfax, we were trying to increase the coverage of the race, and it was just a perfect fit for me. I'd always wanted to do the race, and the timing was right to get on board one of the boats and do the race and file pictures from on board to bring the readers on board. So the motivation behind the race was the fact that I have a strong connection with the race, but I also wanted to bring the readers on board so they could see what life was like, during the race. Some of the shots I've got in the lead-up races, and these are important races because it's when the crew are making fine adjustments and they're really pressing the boats hard, and they're making sure the boats are ready for Sydney to Hobart. And I love it when I'm out there on a media boat capturing the power of these boats as they're launching off waves, and you can hear the crew yelling at each other, and you're just capturing that emotion, from off the boat. And it's really important. These boats are beautiful, they're powerful, they're majestic, and you can't always capture that from on board. So I love every December before Hobart, I really love the work that I do from the media boat in shooting the lead-up races and just showing the fleet, the sails, but also just the power of these boats. When they're racing, they're just magnificent. In the beginning, I guess, doing Hobart for the first time, obviously the cameras that we used didn't have video capabilities. I used to always wanted to capture some video out there, so I was usually with a small Happy Snap digital. Some of the footage is pretty raw, but it's not great quality, but it still gives you that element of what it's like out there. So I've always done video of each race that I've done, but of course today the beautiful thing is the cameras that we use today have got just fantastic video capabilities. So for me it's a real, it makes my life easy, but also it creates more work in the fact that I can shoot great stills and also capture really good video of the moments, during the race that, that are a highlight. So some of the challenges in covering the Sydney to Hobart are combining the work as crewman and doing the media work. When I join a crew of a yacht, it's not a free ride. I have to do my job on the boat, and we obviously have a watch system for the duration of the race where you have X amount of hours to sleep and X amount of hours where you're crewing the boat. So I have to fit in my media work around my job on the boat. So the biggest challenge is being able to do that well, so that you capture the race, but also it's about getting the boat to Hobart safely and doing my job on the boat. So that's the biggest challenge. And incorporated in that is the fact that usually when things go wrong, that's when you get the best pictures or the best video. But of course that's when I have to do my job on the boat to make sure the boat's safe and the crew's safe. 2005 I was on a Supermaxis 100-footer, Konica Minolta. It was a fast race, just coming into Tasman Island. We hit speeds of up to 33 knots. We'd obviously have the spinnaker up and we're surfing down 20-foot swells, big nosedives. It's pretty dangerous, and you've kind of got 5 degrees either side of a wipeout. So everyone's on edge, everyone's on deck. And in those situations, my job in that situation, I'm on the grinders, I've got to trim the spinnaker. And there were times where I'd like to be up the back filming or shooting, but obviously the safety of the boat and the crew is paramount. So that was a real highlight. It was something that you don't get to experience every day, being on a 100-foot yacht, doing 30-odd knots, launching down 20-foot waves, big nosedives. It was phenomenal, lots of water coming over the deck. 2006 I was on another 100-footer when the mast came down at 3 in the morning and injured a lot of the crew, and that was a real challenge in a different way where we had to deal with this emergency. It was catastrophic. We had paramedics winched onto the boat, from the helicopter, and the police launch evacuating injured crew off the boat. So that was a real challenge in documenting that and photographing it, but also understanding that I was part of the crew. So it's a real fine line between, where do you stop being crew and where do you begin being media? For me, the highlight with doing the Sydney Hobart, from both a sailor's point of view and also from a photographer's point of view, are those early mornings, 4 or 5 in the morning when you can just see the first light coming over the horizon. It's nice and quiet on the boat. You get really nice shots. Everyone's kind of in a really reflective mood. They're obviously tired after a long night. So you can get really nice shots just in that morning light. But also it's a really peaceful time at sea. Everyone's kind of quiet. And also you've got the beautiful sunsets as well. So the early morning time and the late evening, when you're 30, 40 miles offshore, they're great moments for everyone because everyone really reflects on, the beauty of being out at sea, doing the race. One of the highlights of one of the other aspects of Sydney Hobart that I love too is the teamwork and the mateship. And doing a Sydney to Hobart, it's all about getting a result, but first and foremost it's about getting the boat to Hobart safely with all the crew intact, and that's your priority. So, when you're down below sleeping, you're kind of relying on the guys up on deck that, they're going to do their job well and not wipe the boat out or, do their job. And so you're placing your life, I guess, in their hands and vice versa. So there's that great teamwork and camaraderie and mateship that go with doing the race. And it's just about getting the boat to Hobart in one piece, minimising the injuries. And then, of course, if you get a good result on top of that, that's just the icing on the cake.